Hello and welcome to another television review from MBE. It's Friday night. No, it's not. It's Saturday morning now. We're running a little bit late.
Yes.
John is trying and testing a lot of things in the background, and that's why we are running
Changed the whole OBS, Stephen.
a little bit late. But we'd like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and, of course, our Twitch stream. And we are talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2, John.
Yes.
The Star-Spangled
Man. Need to jump down a bit.
Yeah, I think I'm slouching a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, John, episode 2.
Yes.
Brief review. I preferred it to episode 1,
Yes.
but I'm sure we'll get into more depth. As the show rolls merrily forward, we get to see John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell, son of Kurt, and
the new Captain America,
I
Stephen.
don't know if his mother is Goldie Hawn. I'm not sure.
Probably,
but anyway,
yeah.
I digress.
Oh, yeah, I think she probably will be, Stephen.
Yeah. John, I'm going to pass it over to you anyway so we can get through this review experience in our usual format.
We will try and condense it, Stephen,
We don't rate
because
these
we are
television shows. No,
we don't rate them. We wait
films.
until the TV show's complete and then we rate the entire season, if you like. We've done that before in Division. Stephen, it starts off very interestingly. We end the first episode introducing the John Walker US agent, new Captain America character. He walks down the steps, he gives a little wink to the camera, he looks very strange, he's got a huge jaw stroke chin in that helmet like the old man from Up. And then it cuts, we see Sam Wilson looking on, just utterly disgusted by the authorities. What have they done? They have brought this goon in to replace Steve Rogers. I hanged the shield up in his absence for a better day, and they've completely ignored all of the wishes of Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, everyone really, even War Machine. And then in this episode we kick off expanding out the John Walker character, and I like the way they've done it. We get an insight into this guy's mindset. What makes him tick? Is he just a complete chauvinistic show-off goonball like we thought he was in the first episode? The little wink to the camera, as I keep saying. Well, it turns out, Stephen, he probably isn't. He's maybe a bit of both. This isn't the full picture. I'll get into it later in this review. We go through the full sort of spectrum of this character. He starts off looking like one thing, in the middle he changes, at the end he's different again. At the start though, he's quite humanising. He's talking to his flame, his ex-flame, his current flame.
Minutes before the reveal, isn't it?
Yeah, he's out into the stadium, and he's talking about nervousness around this character. They'll expect me to live up to something I can never be.
Yeah.
He is a captain though. He was a captain in the army, and he's quite a guy. He's not super soldier Steve Rogers but he can handle himself, Stephen. He can. And I like the way they enveloped us in the world of this character for the first 2 minutes or so. Gave us an insight into how he ticks. What did you make about that, Stephen? Of course, when he gets out into the stadium, it's a completely different ballgame. He gets into full goonball again.
What I got from it, John, was it was showing the burden of Steve Rogers once again. We talked about it last week with Sam, and he didn't want to know. Understandably, he doesn't want to really take that mantle on. This guy, on the other hand, realises the burden of being the next Captain America and not being able to fill the shoes of Steve Rogers. But he does say in the show very early on, I'm not here to replace him, I'm not here to take over or anything like that. I'm going to make this Captain America my own. So you can get that, I respect that, but it begs the question, do they really need him? I don't really understand why they need a Captain America at this time.
I think,
period,
Steve, what I'm taking from it is just, I said it last week with the whole handing the shield over from Sam Wilson's perspective. He didn't really want it. He didn't connect with the shield, what it represented. He was an African American guy. Steve Rogers was a white man from the 1940s, frozen in ice. He had a different view of the flag, of what the country meant to him. Sam Wilson's got a different view. I think we're going to explore this via US Agent. This guy's the poster boy, white guy, blonde eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes, not blonde eyes, that'd be strange. Sam Wilson's a black man. He doesn't connect with the shield. He's handed it back. The government have usurped him. I think they're going to explore his relationship with his country, with the shield, with what it means to be Captain America,
John,
represent the country, using this guy as a sort of...
There was little sort of moments in this episode where they were highlighting that sort of the police bit where they were standing in the street. I didn't recognise you without your goggles. That to me was suggesting, that...
And the old guy, Stephen?
Yeah.
Was it Isaiah?
Yeah,
I don't know if it was. the old super soldier that Bucky get the shit kicked out of. He get the shit kicked out of him by that guy back in the 70s or something. Of course, he goes to prison for 30 odd years. Bucky's allowed to be an assassin for after that event and before that event, and that was highlighting again. I've got that in my notes, but we can speak about it just now.
Yeah.
Highlighting the difference between how the white guy with super serum lives his life and how the black guy, he gets in prison, gets tested like a lab rat. Bucky doesn't.
Yeah.
But he has almost a worst fate. Or a worse fate, if you like, because he's having to kill people, brainwash. So I wouldn't want to be either of those guys. But there was little moments in this episode where it continued to highlight the sort of racial struggle over in America, African Americans' sort of relationship with the flag, in this case the shield, and how that shapes their day-to-day life. I thought that was fascinating in the first episode, and I've continued it here. I think it's going to be a recurring theme. The legacy of Steve Rogers and how it's impacting Sam, how it's impacting Bucky, how it's impacting John Walker and that other guy. What's he called? I've got the quote. Battlestar.
Yeah, Battlestar. What a crap name.
Steve, did you not love that moment? Well, Bucky, he says, I'm Battlestar, I'm his sidekick, and Bucky says, Battlestar, stop the car.
Yeah,
that's enough.
Yeah.
All this shit I've had to listen to from these two absolute you-know-whats. I'm not going to swear tonight. It's going to be my motto tonight, not to swear. That's my mantra, because I swore way too much last night. I'll not utter a single profanity tonight. That should have been a red band show.
I blame Helen Mirren for that, John.
Yeah, Steve, I lost the plot last night. Completely forgot she was in Shazam.
I was shouting at the screen. I was like, Shazam! I should have typed it, but Shazam! You were always that close to getting it. That's why I was like, I'm not saying. Oh no, he's not getting it. Oh, he is getting it. No, he's not getting it. Oh,
shows you how good, Steve. My memory is absolutely tremendous in certain instances, and in other instances, I'm like a borderline early onset dementia patient. But Stephen, I loved that exploration of that sort of racial intolerance, and you see it, as you did mention. That's how we went on to this.
But it was very cleverly done.
And you see it through John Walker at the start, the sort of the weight of expectation with this shield. I like the start of it, and of course we get a somber. No, that's not the same one. That's not the same notes. We get Bucky and Sam's first meeting in this episode. In this TV show, we had to wait a good 50-60 minutes to see these two guys together on the screen. And Stephen, it was well worth the wait. I've got the quote here. I've wrote my notes. Androids, aliens and wizards. The big three. I have a feeling they might be part of the big three. I think Bucky replies, what big three? Androids, aliens or wizards? That's not a thing. That absolutely is a thing. So who are we fighting now? Gandalf. How do you know about Gandalf? I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it first came out. Loved it, man. It was everything I was expecting from this TV show in a little 2-minute sequence. These two guys bickering. Amazing chemistry, but they're like mismatched buddies. I loved that, man. I loved this, they come together, and there was so many moments in this, man, but they came together. There was a moment later on in the mission, which I'll get into, where he mentions White Panther, and that was a great quote as well.
Wolf,
he says, look at you all stealthy, a little time in Wakanda, you came out as the White Panther. He says, White Wolf, actually. He's like, wait, what? I love that, because he's the White Wolf. That was the actual name of the character in the comics. But Stephen, what did you make about this first moment these two guys come together? His sort of androids, aliens and wizards thing, the Gandalf quote. These two guys come together, man. It was dynamite. I loved it.
Yeah, it was worth the wait, wasn't it? The first episode was establishing where they were in their heads after Endgame, and they delivered with that. You know, that half an episode each last week. This one, it was what we were waiting for, them coming together. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan got this great chemistry. And you saw early indications of that in the Avengers films. And
I did interviews as well.
I've been watching them. You know, they were doing a lot of that prior to this show's release. You know, and I think it bodes well for the rest of the series. You know, if that's their first meeting, then there's good chemistry there as well. It's a very complicated relationship as well between both of them. You know, they've been through a lot together, been through a lot separately as well. And it was just great to see both of them coming together, and I liked that, John. I liked that whole Gandalf scene as well. It was that kind of humour is what I think is going to be throughout this series as well. Mismatch buddy sort of partnership there going on, but I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it.
And Stephen, also we get an amazing action sequence again after that with the sort of super soldiers, the flag stompers, as they call them.
The flag smashers.
Smashers. I'm not so keen on this whole flag smasher side arc. I know it's necessary. You need to have some form of villainry in there. But
John, that's why I was asking the question: do we really need a Captain America at this stage?
Well, Steve, I tell you, I'd have preferred US Agent John Walker, Captain America 2, whatever you want to call him, as the villain over this flag smasher mob. But it's interesting because it's opened up the Isaiah super soldier. How many super soldiers are out there, and just how it's affected the lives. We know how it affected Steve Rogers differently to Bucky Barnes. Barnes, it is Bucky Barnes, isn't it?
James Buchanan Barnes.
Barnes, yes.
Yeah.
I flipped for a moment there when I said Barnes. I'm like, that ain't right. It's Burns. It's not. It's Barnes. You were right the first time.
Smithers, eh?
Simpson, eh? But Stephen, that was an amazing action sequence. They were on those trucks. He thinks he's found a little hostage. Turns out it's a little freckled girl from Solo, a Star Wars story. She's in here. She's got a mask again. Not as cool as the one from Solo. She puts him right out, or punches him right out of the van onto the windscreen. That kickstarts an amazing 5-minute action sequence where we've got Falcon whizzing around these trucks. We've got 4 or 5, how many super soldiers taking on the two of them?
About 5 of them.
They're in a bit of a pickle. And we get John Walker jumping down from a helicopter, and he says this.
Good. I like that bit.
Sam, it's John Walker, Captain America. Looks like you need a little help. And obviously that gives us a cool moment with John Walker, where I thought, wait a minute, this guy's actually going to be decent here as Captain America Mark II. He's whizzing that throwing that shield about, and it's battering off of people. And we've seen it before when someone, I don't know what it was, I think it was actually the reporter interviewing him in the stadium, and we see him throwing the shield and it ricochets off 4 different things, so we know he's very adept with the shield.
Yeah, he's skilled.
He's skilled despite not being Steve Rogers. If he wasn't such a goonball, then he could be perhaps a very different Captain America. But Stephen, that ends quickly in this sequence because he gets overpowered. He uses the shield to sort of cushion Battlestar's fall on the ground. He gives a little thumbs up. He climbs up. You're going to regret this or something like that, and gets punched right off the truck. And I'm like, that would not have happened to Steve Rogers. But I liked the sequence. I thought it was a great action sequence. Much like last week, we had the one in the canyon.
That was amazing, John.
This is looking as though it's going to be a recurring theme in this show. We'll look into the personal side of things. We'll explore some racial thematics, and then we get a big balls to the ball action sequence. And again, Stephen, it wouldn't have been alien outside of a Winter Soldier or something.
No,
that action sequence, it was of a similar standard.
John, I said
in terms
that last
of visuals.
week. I think every episode is going to be like a little mini Winter Soldier film. You know, it's
getting
great.
that vibe.
You know, definitely, John, and it shows the quality of the production as well, because it didn't look like there was a lot of special effects used in that. Obviously the shield and stuff like that would have been.
Oh, and the Red Wing get destroyed as well.
Yeah.
That little shit get destroyed, and Bucky's like, I've always wanted to do that. I love that.
John,
it
was good to see this version of Captain America in the action as well, to see how capable he is. We heard all about his background, obviously his military training, etc., etc., how many medals he's won, but to see him in action shows that he is.
He's capable.
He is capable, but the only difference is he's not a super soldier. That's the only difference.
And that's
quite
important.
Something about that, about courage or something. I can't remember the actual word.
Yeah,
but
I may not have a super soldier serum or something like that, but I've got courage, and that's what counts.
Yeah.
And Steve, you see that the sort of dynamic between the 4 guys after that. You get that scene where they're driving along in the truck. They keep stopping and open the door, and looking to get them in, and they're walking by, not interested. Finally, they bring them in, and those 4 are sitting. And we get the Battlestar moment. Battlestar, stop the car. I want to get out. But I liked it, man. The back and forth bickering between them, and just the dynamic between John Walker and Sam Wilson. I liked that moment. Where you can sort of
what was the comment he said to Sam? And Sam, that was when Sam decided to get out the car as well.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, I might not be Captain America, but I still need your sidekicks. I still need his sidekicks or something along those lines. I think Sam said to him, it's the last lines that sting or something like that, and walks out. Stephen, I tell you, man, I do like the John Walker character. I do. There's something about him. There's something about the guy when he gets Bucky out of the jail. And she asks him, who authorised that? He won't need to have any more therapy sessions. He'll not be getting his time out. And she asks him, who authorised that? He goes like that and points to himself. I'm like, this guy. There's something about him. He's an absolute dick. There you go. I've sworn, but I do like him. And that was summed up in that sort of sequence. The action, you see him being capable, but then you see the sort of back and forth of dynamic. I'm loving it. I think we're going to get more with these 4 characters. There's going to be some one-upmanship going on. Because, of course, when they do split up and they decide they're not working with them, Walker says to them, well, just stay out of my way then.
Yeah. I
think they say something like, you have to adhere to the rules. We don't. It's never going to work.
Sam made a good point, though, about we can't team up with you guys. You guys are very restricted in the orders you've got to follow. I said that the John Walker Captain America is like what Steve Rogers would have became if he signed the Sokovian agreement in Civil War.
Neutered.
Neutered,
Yeah.
restricted and controlled, and that's what he didn't want. That's exactly what I took from this. But you're right, that stay out of my way moment as well was, well, if you're not going to join me, then
You're against me.
Yeah, you're against me. Take yourself out of the picture because you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, and Stephen, I'm looking forward to seeing it, how it expands that out. That's what it says with the John Walker character. He sort of goes from a guy feeling the pressure of the Shield to being a cocky little shit, trying to ingratiate himself to the two Avengers. Then he just says, well, screw yous at the end, stay out my way. So I'm intrigued to see how he's going to go from this point onwards. We did see a moment where they done another stadium tour in the trailers, and we see actual Battlestar running out. I've not seen that yet, I'm aware of. I may have missed it, it may have been when he went out the first time.
That,
But it looks like they're going to continue doing their sort of promotional tour of stadiums. In the eye, they're the goody two shoes, but I get the feeling under the surface they're going to be thorns in the side of Bucky and Sam. They're going to Zemo, is it? I keep forgetting his name. Zemo, the Daniel Brühl character. They're going to him at the end. That's a cliffhanger. I'm sure we'll get into that. Don't know how he's going to slip into this story, because we know he was a Hydra agent and he had some issues with Bucky, and obviously Tony Stark, he wanted to out the death of his parents in the Winter Soldier. Was it Civil War? Civil War, wasn't
Civil
it?
War, yeah.
So it's intriguing to see how that's going to play out. That story arc is setting some nice things up. Stephen, though, what did you make about the group therapy session part of this episode? Because the way they set that up in the trailer, it looked as though it was played for jokes, and there was elements of jokes. I replayed a certain moment about 5 times, and it's when, how are we going to do this then? I put my feet in, and then Sam just brings him in. He's like, whoa, that's close. And he's like, yeah, that's what you wanted. It's just the way that Sebastian Stan played that scene. It cut to him a close-up. Whoa, that's close. And I absolutely loved it. I was killing myself, knocking myself laughing. I replayed it about 5 times. But despite you having those funny moments in that group therapy bit of the episode, you see Bucky opening up.
Yeah,
in a way he didn't open up with the therapist in the first episode. He was closed, but when he sees Sam in front of him, he says to him something along the lines of, you should have took the shield. That's what Steve wanted. He chose you, and if he was wrong about you, he'll be wrong about me. And you see him being that kind of concern.
Yeah.
How much Steve means to these two guys, that he respects his opinion that much. He thinks that he was redeemable. He could be a hero. He doesn't have to be a bad guy despite all the bad things he's done. So if he's wrong about Sam being the next Captain America, he's wrong about him. I loved that moment.
That was great, John. It was very emotional, I felt, when he did ask him that question. Very honest of him as well, because that was obviously what was on his mind for last episode and this episode during the therapy sessions. And yeah, I mean, it's a strange relationship. Both of them have got something in common in their sort of friendship with Steve Rogers, but from different angles. Bucky's relationship is a bit more complicated because of the lost years, if you like, the lost weekend. And obviously Bucky's history, after Steve went into the ice. Sam, on the other hand, was more in common with Steve, in terms of his morals, his abilities to a point.
Military
sort
of background as well.
So both of them have coming from different angles, but they share the same goal. And there's that moment in the Endgame where Steve Rogers is sitting, the old Steve Rogers that is, with the shield in the case, and Sam looks at Bucky for approval, as if, am I okay to go and see him rather than you, who's you're his oldest friend, but I'm probably his best friend. And that's always stayed with me since then, and that's how I was very much looking forward to this television series, to see how that relationship blossomed after that. And it all came to a head in that therapy moment, John. I felt it was a great scene, it was great lines, and again, those two actors working together face to face, literally, was one of the best. It was a highlight of the episode for me. And
Stephen, it sums up the MCU and what Kevin Feige and Disney do with these characters, in the sense that you've got a moment of hilarity, real humour, where I'm re-watching it 5 times. 2 seconds later, you've got Bucky opening his heart up, and you get the sort of yin to the yang and the emotional spectrum. I like that. Stephen, the way I took that in Endgame, I always took it that Bucky was that close to Steve. He kind of had the inkling he wasn't going to be back. He sort of gives a little nod, and then Sam's looking about, Bruce is looking about, and they're kind of worrying where he is, but Bucky always knew. And then he says, down there, and the fact that Sam goes down, I think Bucky had his moment. Sort of come to terms with never seeing him again. I'm not the young Steve Rogers anyway, and then Bucky, also Sam still has to have that moment, and that's the way I took that. But you're right, The way they're playing that out, expanding it out from the later sort of Avengers Infinity Saga era, from the Winter Soldier and stuff like that. They're taking little elements of all of it, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm going on to the ending now, strangely. I don't know why, but we're going on to the ending. And obviously the whole Zemo cliffhanger. Did we see Daniel, bro?
Very end, John.
Very, very briefly.
2 seconds.
Yeah, he was sitting, wasn't he?
Yeah. It was less a cameo than Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens.
Steve, I like the way they've done it though. They've set it up nicely. That's got you talking for next week, what this guy could be bringing to the table in this episode. I'm looking forward to seeing him. He's a great character, a great actor.
Yeah, John, I knew he was in 5 episodes of the 6, so I knew he was going to appear at some point in this episode. And
going to be intriguing what they're doing with him.
Well, I think they need him at this point, and it's to do with
Super Soldier Serum. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it's.
Maybe some
about.
rogue Hydra serums have got out there from the sort of what the soldier scheme, whatever you want to call it, operation that Bucky was born out of.
Zemo's never seen the light of day though, has he? Again?
No.
I doubt it.
No.
He's going to be like the Hannibal Lecter, sort of.
In the shadows. No, he's not getting out, Steve. He's too dangerous.
No, he's absolutely.
He's a schemer.
Yeah.
And of course he knows the sort of brainwashing thing. Is Bucky over that? I think he is. I think he's Shuri dealt with that in Wakanda. Can't wait to see him though. It's going to be an amazing episode, Stephen. I'm just loving the way, and getting into the final thoughts on this, the way the story's evolving, I should say. We went into the sort of personal side of these two characters. We explored a different side to super heroism, if you like. I can't think of a better word. We've had little moments of sporadic action. It's building and building and building nicely. I preferred this episode to the first one. I didn't mind the first one, but there was a bit of mundanity to Sam getting back to that little fishing sort of town, and Bucky had the better of that episode for me in terms of action.
John, I've got a funny feeling
shit out of people.
We're not going to see that again. The whole Sam sister thing. I doubt it.
I hope not. I mean, I don't mind the sister.
I think I was trying to normalise him. I think that was the point of it.
It might go back, Stephen, when he's made some money. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I think it was really just to sort of humanise the character. That, you know, he does ordinary things. He's got family, nephews and a sister, you know, and I think that's all it was really. It was to show the contrast between his life and obviously Bucky's life. Bucky's more of a lone wolf, if you like. You know, he's got no one left. He's got no one left. You know, Steve was his sort of last connection to the past. But no, it's.
Steve, do you think we'll see the old Japanese guy coming back? Do you think they'll sort that out? Because they didn't even touch upon that.
I think there will be some resolve, John, before the end of this season finish. How he's going to tackle it, I don't know.
I mean, Bucky needs to.
It's a very touchy one, isn't it? It's a very awkward one to deal with, because he's very fond of the old man, and he's going to have to be honest with him at some point of what he did to his son.
Well, Steve, I think they'll do it at the end. Personally, I think it'll be either the second last or the last episode, because this is the last move for him to free up himself and move away from the past, from his past Winter Soldier days. So he's going to have to do it. I think they will tackle it at some point. It'll be a truly special moment for the character. Stephen, that's what I'm saying. I love all elements of this TV show, even the mundanity, sort of exploring their personal lives, internal conflicts, the sort of superhero side of things. You've got the blipper sort of flag smasher things. You've got Super Soldier Serum. It's absolutely wild. It's diverse as hell. I'm enjoying it. It's been really good so far. But look, that's going to round it up, man. We have not got much more to say on it. It's been a quick one. I don't know how quick it's been. We're in a different OBS. I've not got the length of the show. How long we've been going along, unless you can see it, Steve?
About 25 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, it's been short and sweet, and that's okay, because we've got a trailer reaction to do. So that's going to round it up. What was your thoughts on the second episode? What the hell was the name of the second episode, Steve? And I have not got
Star-Spangled Man.
Star-Spangled Man.
Yeah.
What a title, man. How did I not remember that?
Yeah.
I always think of Star-Spangled Banner, the Jimi Hendrix version at Woodstock. That was dynamite, man. If you've not seen that, watch that, man. That's got nothing to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it's equally enjoyable watching. What was your thoughts on it, though, of the evolution within this character story, everything? You can comment down below if you've got anything to say about the episode itself. We'll review in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the follow button on Twitch if you want to see more content like this. You'll duly get it, more movie news, reviews, reactions, everything. But until then, guys, bye-bye.